Peace. I'm back. I'm back. Sorry, y'all. I had to pause my video so I can run into the fish spot. I ordered some whiting, potato salad, and stuffed peppers. I really like these stuffed peppers that they have here. They kind of like jalapeno poppers, but it's just a little different. It's made with fish. It's pepper stuffed with fish. It's really good. Anyway, to finish off what I was saying, I think that it's crazy that so many people want to Africanize us, like that 154 show where every show, this is a show that's supposed to be about Africa, that's Godfrey is a host, and I think the other guy is like an ex-football player or something like that, some type of ex-sports person, and they invite African people who are successful onto the show, but they never invite an ordinary African immigrant who go to work and come home every day, because I guess that's not going to get them clicks and views. But another thing that's not going to get them clicks and views is the show, period. And why do I say that? Because only thing they talk about is Black Americans. Every time I see the show or a clip, most of the conversation is about Black Americans and all of this and all of that, about delineation, I guess. Which this delineation is like the new Renaissance movement, and some people it's disturbing their bones. And it should disturb you, because all of the opportunity that was there for us to come together in coalition with each other as brothers and sisters and create a global Black family, that we can have a strong sense of protection over each other. That never happened. You know, my grandmother has a revolutionary mindset. And the reason why a lot of her grandchildren are mentally strong when it comes to our lineage is because of her. My grandmother stands on lineage business like nobody I've ever met in my life. And she has instilled in her grandchildren the importance of us identifying as who we are. And when Vic Mensa goes out of his way to make videos peeling oranges, trying to demonize us for recognizing who we are in our lineage, I have to say, man, it's very disheartening. It's very disheartening. It's disrespectful and it's disheartening. And it's a shame, because a lot of us can trace our lineage back hundreds and hundreds of years to this landmass called America. So me personally, my ancestry on my grandmother's side has been traced back to the early 1700s. And on my father's side, whose family comes from Georgia, our lineage has been traced back all the way to the 1640s. And how we was able to trace back so far on my father's side is because a part of my grandfather's family, some of them were free. And because some of them were free, they had more integrity in keeping their paperwork intact. So we was able to trace family members all the way back to the mid 1600s through paperwork, and some of my relatives on my father's side were able to buy some of their relatives out of slavery. And when you are able to buy your relatives out of slavery, first of all, America has kept meticulous records on what happened back then. But back then they were really big on deeds of sale. So we was able to trace 2 deeds of sales of relatives on my father's side who were bought out of slavery. Both of them were girls, and they were little girls when they were bought out of slavery. So my connection on both sides of my family is deeply rooted in America. When we did our lineage and DNA testing and created our family tree, we did not discover an ancestor from no part of West Africa. Nothing came up from no West Africa. Nothing. On my mother's father's side, I remember when I was a little boy, and we used to go and see my mother's father sometimes, and we would go really to see his mother. And when I say this lady looked like the stereotypical picture of an Indian with the feathering, with the brown skin, with the big old nose, and the whole Native American aesthetic, and she was a brown-skinned woman. She was not no high yellow, light-skinned woman with blue eyes claiming to be an indigenous Native American. She was a dark-skinned or peanut butter brown-skinned woman with the whole aesthetic of a Native American woman. And she had pictures on her wall. I remember this just like yesterday. And every time I would come into her house, I would be fascinated by the pictures on the walls, because the pictures were always in great detail for her to have pictures that old. They were black and white pictures, but they were great detailed pictures. And every one of those pictures on her walls were of dark-skinned people with the same aesthetic as her. These are the original Aboriginal Native Americans to this country. These are the original black people of this country who were reclassified by the American Census Bureau, and the head of it name was Walter Plecker, and a woman by the name of Naomi Drake. They reclassified a lot of dark-skinned Native Americans into Negroes and put them on a plantation and enslaved them right along with Africans who were imported here in the transatlantic slave trade. So if you listen to this video and you want to know who Walter Plecker and Naomi Drake is, just look them up. Google is your friend. Google will tell you the truth of who Walter Plecker is and what he did to the indigenous black population that were captured and put on plantations. Many of them wind up getting their freedom because there was a law that said any indigenous person born to a Native American mother, no matter if they were mixed with black or not, were not eligible to be put on plantations as slaves. This is why they didn't want us to be able to read, because there were laws like this on the books, and once black people, who we call ourselves black now, were able to read and learned that, hold up, my mother is a Native American. My grandmother is Native American. I come from a Native American tribe. I'm not supposed to be on this plantation. A lot of them won their freedom in court. And another thing is, if only a few 100,000, what they claim, it could be higher, black people were brought here from Africa in the transatlantic slave trade and made slaves, how did our population grow so fast? To the point where from the year recorded that we're taught the first slave ship came here in 1555, manned by Sir John Hawkins, and his small crew had a few Africans captured as slaves and brought here to the Americas. And then, over the next 310 years, or until the slave trade was abolished, millions of Africans was brought out of Africa into the Western Hemisphere, Europe, South America, the Caribbean, and America to be made slaves. But if only a small percentage of those people came to the Americas, where did they get all these slaves from? To the point where at the end of slavery, there were millions of black people. This is a mystery nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to do that math and say, what is the normal number of population growth? So if a people is subjugated and they're only able to create life at the behest of another people that monitor or give you permission when you can procreate to create life. Then, under those circumstances, 9 times out of 10, unless they have sex farms where it's 24/7 sex going on that's creating babies like cows, then life growth will be very slow. That's just a fact. And since they did breed us, our ancestors, like cattle, you can say that equated to a significant amount of growth in the slave population. But would it account for, at the end of slavery, when it was officially abolished in 1865, I believe it was, 1865, when the mass movement of black people from plantations, it was in the in the millions for what the population was here. How did that happen? If the import of slaves stopped well before the end of slavery, obviously something is not being told correctly about the American population and who was enslaved here and who was brought here. And this is why a lot of now so-called black people are claiming indigenous inheritance and indigenous life on this landmass we call North America, because we are waking up to a truth that has been hidden from us for centuries, that many of us come from indigenous backgrounds and we were thrown on plantations with Africans. So really, we had an ethnogenesis because we are mixed with the blood of the European who violated the women and the boys, and the women gave birth to children to those Europeans, and those Europeans put their children on the plantation. Africans that was brought over here, and the indigenous people who were already here. So we are 3 people in one. Hundreds of years of us mixing. So Vic Mensa, get it right, brother. I hope that you're okay. I hope your mental health is intact. And I hope that you're happy. Peace.